I need a mallet, and there's a very common way of making them, such as this one by Steve Ramsey. But I don't have to give in to peer pressure, so today I'm making a mallet from plywood using the X-Carve. I started by designing the mallet in SketchUp. This one's pretty large, at 14 inches long with a 5.5 inch head. Then I sent the SVG outlines to Easel, which is a free web app by Inventables to run the X-Carve. I clamped down a piece of 1/2 inch Baltic birch plywood and cut out the shape. Easel automatically adds tabs to the toolpath, which hold the part in place while it's being cut out. When it's done, I can cut off those tabs to remove the parts. Now I'll glue the two handle pieces together, keeping them as well aligned as possible. I'm using a lot of clamps, not to clamp tightly, but rather to clamp evenly. A flush trim bit takes care of any misalignment. Now I'll round over the handle, stopping before I get to the head. The sides of the head need to be rounded over on the bottom before they get glued to the handle. For now, I'll just glue one of them on, again keeping it as closely aligned as possible. I'll fill the head about 80% full of BBs. This is what gives it its dead blow characteristics, which prevent bounce. Now I can glue on the last layer. I'll clean up the head as much as I can with a flush trim bit, and then finish on the edge belt sander. I'll add a 3/8 round over to the top of the head and an 1/8 inch round over to the ends. If you wanted, you could glue on leather for a softer surface. I'll use a file to blend the handle round over into the head. And I'll finish the mallet with a couple coats of shellac. So this design can be modified for whatever sort of mallet you want. Here I have a smaller one made from thinner plywood, designed to look boxy with my logo on the head. If you want to make one like this yourself, there's a link in the description to the Inventables project page where you can download the SVG file. So why did I fill the head only 80% full of BBs? Well, here's a little comparison. If I hit the table with this mallet, you can see it bounces a little. But if I hit it with this mallet, it doesn't bounce at all. Let's see that again in slow motion. The first one was packed full of BBs, and the second one was only about 80% full. I'm not playing any tricks here. This is really how much difference it makes. When you swing the mallet down, all the BBs move over to one side. And when the mallet hits, all the BBs hit a split second later. This makes for significantly less bounce than if all the weight hits at once. And all the energy used on that bounce is a complete waste, so basically the mallet doesn't hit as hard. So Inventables sent me this X-Carve for free and asked me for an honest review. As you may know, I already had a CNC, so I kind of have something to compare to. It's not a fair comparison though, as this machine only costs about a third as much. First off, I would say the easel software is far too limited to really use, and you'll need to plan on getting something better. As for the machine, I am quite pleased with the performance. After I familiarized myself with it, I decided to run one of my existing files from the old machine, and I didn't change the cut depth or feed rate at all. Going from a heavy screw drive machine to an X-Carve might seem pretty crazy, but I wanted to try it. On the first attempt, the Y motors started skipping steps and messed this up. So after browsing the Inventables forum, I learned that I could turn up the power to the motors. I made another attempt on the same piece, and honestly, if it wasn't for this line from the first time, I would probably go ahead and finish this one and it would be marketable. You could see these curves, which are from the machine flexing too much, from moving too fast. So I reduced the feed rate on the V-bit to 60 inches per minute and tried again. And I got this. This is almost as good as my old machine would have done. So I have to say, this X-Carve is better than I thought. That said, it has its flaws. It has some flex in the gantry and Y rails, as well as stretch in the belts, which means you'll never get the same accuracy as with a screw drive machine, like this one. This isn't a big deal for artwork, but for things like these bandsaw trunnions, accuracy really matters. I did have a little issue with the machine. The Z-axis lead screw was bent, which limited its travel, but I contacted Inventables and they next day shipped me a new one for free. And of course, there was the issue with the underpowered motors, which I already mentioned, and that was an easy fix. If I were to buy this machine, I would definitely not get the limit switches or the wasteboard. The limit switches seem kind of useless to me, and the wasteboard, well, it's over $100 plus about $150 shipping. And it's just a piece of MDF with threaded inserts in it. You could probably make that yourself for a tenth the cost. Overall, I am impressed. I didn't expect my review to be this positive, but I think for the price of this thing, it is a really good value. Alright, that's it. Remember to check the description for links to the SVG file, as well as the Inventables website. So I want to thank Inventables for supporting me, and I want to thank you for watching.